Saleh's gone. Jeff Ulbrich is in. Nat Hackett still the OC. The Jets offense in need of a boost. Here's Rodgers' numbers. Not great for your old quarterback there, Greg. What do you think this means for Aaron Rodgers?
It's on him. Can we just keep this graphic up so everyone can just stare at this for a minute? Because if we were looking at the Jets team last year, the one thing that was missing was Aaron Rodgers wasn't on the field. He was hurt. We thought, oh man, if they had Aaron Rodgers, things would be different. Well, this year, you know who you got. You got Aaron Rodgers, things were going to be different. He said going into the season, you know what, jobs are on the line. Like, I understand it's about me. Like, I have to perform. This is what you got. This is what you got. And the only thing you can do, because you can't get rid of Aaron Rodgers, you're not going to bench him for Tyrod Taylor. You probably should and probably would get a little bit better production. Wow. But the fans and everyone else would be in a little bit of an uproar. With those numbers, with those numbers, it wouldn't be wild. Yeah. It wouldn't be wild. And like, I get it. Robert Saleh, he's kind of the scapegoat right now because when you're struggling and you have great expectations because of a player, because that's what it is, because none of us would think that this team was...
Oh, I don't know, man. I was told Breece Hall's Jim Brown and Garrett Wilson's Megatron.
But it was because of the addition of Aaron Rodgers and his ability to be a difference maker. Well, he's definitely been a difference maker, but in the wrong direction. And so Garrett Wilson is struggling. He hasn't gotten... He was better off with Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
Like
And just to add to that point, the Jets last year after 5 games were 2-3 and had scored 93 points. The Jets this year after 5 games are 2-3 and have scored 93 points.
And remember, one of those was a 30-0. Was it?
I took it from Danny this morning.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that tells you.
Oh, the total yards is a 3 difference? I didn't even realize that. All right, go ahead, Bruce. Sorry.
It means there's no more excuses. All right, no more scapegoats, as you said, and I agree. Saleh was a scapegoat. All right, period. And now it's all on Aaron Rodgers. There's a report now that's out that says Saleh was going to fire
or considering firing Nat Hackett this morning.
And then he got fired. And I think Aaron Rodgers, when you look at Aaron Rodgers, he struggled. His last couple years under McCarthy weren't great. They bring in Matt LaFleur, a great new offensive mind, right? More up to date and all that. And Rodgers is fantastic. Wins 2 MVPs. Last year had issues with LaFleur and the play calling and stuff. Now he's in total control, and I think the offense is a lot more simplified than it was with a LaFleur. And so I think what they should have done is get rid of Nat Hackett and try to update this offense with more motion and things like that. But Aaron Rodgers, I don't think, Greg, is good enough anymore to just do it on his talent and not have some deception in the game plan and stuff like that. So Aaron Rodgers has to deliver. He's being compared. Tom Brady, what'd he do in Tampa Bay? Won a Super Bowl. Peyton Manning, what'd he do in Denver? Won a Super Bowl. And at least Joe Montana got the Chiefs to the AFC Championship game in a 2 playoff appearances.
Brett Favre got to an NFC Championship game with the Vikings.
So, come on, Aaron.
Wilds, remember how last week I created my fake news hat? The news is real, the hat is fake?
Yeah.
I think I'd like to have a fake gumshoe hat as well.
Wow, detective?
Where I'm like trying to connect the dots here. Yeah. Because I just saw the guy from CBS, Jonathan Jones, it was his report about that Robert Saleh was strongly considering firing Nat Hackett, okay? So either Robert Saleh told him that or other people knew it, right? Because else how do you know what someone is considering? We also know from Woody Johnson, he and Aaron Rodgers spoke last night.
Yeah.
And so is it on the board of outcomes to me that Robert Saleh shared with the owner after the loss? I think I've got to fire the offensive coordinator. And then in that phone call with Aaron Rodgers last night, where he did not say he was firing Robert Saleh, Woody Johnson told us that. That was discussed. And now it turns out, no, we're going to keep my buddy and you're going to be out. Because if Robert Saleh was not fireable after the last 3 years, 2 and 3 should not be fireable now.
Beat Buffalo, they're tied for first.
Right. When you're playing for first, when Your loss 9 days ago, your defense held them to 10 points. Your loss this past week, you're 16, what was it, 16 or 7? Yeah, 16 points. The defense against the Patriots was awesome. The defense against the Titans was awesome. It was only bad in that first game of the year against San Francisco. Something doesn't pass the logic or smell test here. And the fact that it was just reported this quickly, and Jonathan Jones is great at his job, and so Saleh talked to Jay Glazer today. On the record, not sources. Glazer got him on the phone. Said he was blindsided. Okay, blindsided. We now have another report from another great reporter saying, I was getting ready to fire the offensive coordinator. And he's out? Man, they have given their franchise over to a egomaniac who used to be one of the best quarterbacks ever. If he does not get back to being one of the best quarterbacks ever, they have torched 2 years.
Yes.
Last year and this year. Just lit it on fire. And so and here's the other thing. I would like to hear reporting, the next piece, little thing I would like to hear, are they still in the Davante Adams sweepstakes?
That's a good question.
Right? Like, are they?
This makes it more likely or less likely?
Well, if Aaron Rodgers is running everything, it's more likely. Right? Like, keep my guy, go get another one of my guys, and let's do that.
Yeah, it's odd because when you think about his time in Green Bay, specifically with LaFleur, like LaFleur came in with a system, a scheme. He knew what he wanted to get done. His job was then to, okay, let me see if I can get Aaron Rodgers on board. I'm not going to completely tailor and cater to everything he wants to do because I have this. This is what I have. With the Jets, it was never that. It was Nathaniel Hackett's system was Aaron Rodgers. And that's the problem. Like, there is no one to truly challenge and hold him accountable. Like, you have to have somebody that's going to be willing to challenge you, and that's not the case.
So can I ask you a question? Just to play devil's advocate, because I was trying to draw parallels to Brady, because Brady has had a little friction with the offense to start too.
Right.
But coaches didn't go anywhere. I don't understand, or it's like, hey, I'm Aaron Rodgers. I'm 40 years old. I know a handful of offenses. I don't understand the rationale or the thought process like, hey, have me do something brand new that I'm not comfortable with. Like, I don't see it being entirely wrong. I'm like, no, man, we're just going to ride with this guy and do what he can do and try to make him comfortable.
Well, it's not entirely wrong, but when you then start to bring in basically Green Bay removed, Alan Lazard, Randall Cobb.
Want to trade for Davante Adams, like, bring in Tim Boyle.
You're basically trying to retool what once was. Yep. It's like that's where it's like, wait a minute, hold on, wait a minute. Nathaniel Hackett didn't work out in Denver. He hasn't worked out. He didn't work out last year. If we were seeing some success from Nathaniel Hackett in what he was going to present, we would have saw some glimpses of what it could have been without Aaron Rodgers last year.
Brady was all in as a teammate in the beginning.
That's true.
Brady was holding workouts against the rules. Like, he was doing everything he could.
Yeah. Recent loss in London that saw Aaron Rodgers throw 3 interceptions that were actually Robert Saleh's fault. We reviewed it. He got in there, was tipping the ball. Saleh goes 20 for 36 in his 3.5 somewhat year tenure. DC Jeff Ulbrich will be the interim head coach. Saleh reportedly blindsided by the firing. Nick, were you?
Little surprised by the timing of it, even though I should have just listened to Coach. Coach Mangini was like, you embarrassed Woody Johnson in front of his fancy British friends. You're out of there. Coach nailed it. And so I'm in a bit of a weird spot because I'm pretty well documented that I don't think Robert Saleh is a good head coach. Mm-hmm. And the evidence I have is his 56-game tenure.
Sure.
And so 20 and 36, that is a bottom 10 winning percentage of any coach of the last quarter century who got at least 50 games. Yeah, and so I don't think he was a very good head coach. I also think firing him and keeping Nat Hackett is an indefensible decision.
Thank you.
And so I think you can, smart people have argued, and they might be right, that if you bring him back to start the year and don't fire him when Mike Vrabel's available, when maybe you could get Belichick, when you could go with one of those young offensive minds, that you've got to give him more than 5 games.
Yeah.
I understand that logic. I don't know if that's 100% certain What I do know is if you're going to bring the whole staff back and then 5 games